Hey guys, welcome back, John Megacycle here, and an episode of a new game called RimWorld. This is a project that I backed on Kickstarter, I don't know, months ago, and this is one that I've been really happy with. It's been evolving, new stuff has been added, the game has been tweaked, and it's really matured over the last few months. Really happy with it. And I wanted to take a minute or two and tell you a little bit about it. This one is still being worked on in a bit of a beta, alpha kind of a mode. Still being tweaked, as I mentioned. There's new stuff being added on a fairly regular basis. The storyline behind this one is, first of all, if you don't know what a RimWorld is, if you take a look at like a solar system in a fairly futuristic setting, the idea is the core planets, or the planets nearest to the star, or the sun in our case, are the most developed. They're the most developed technologically. They've got agriculture sophistication. Their governmental structure is fairly tightly knit. The government is receiving taxes. People are generally thriving very well. Stuff is getting done. New research, new technology. People are generally happier. Let's just leave that conversation for another time. But on the outside of a solar system, like in our case, like Pluto, which isn't really a planet, but you get less heat, you have less resources. It's a lot harder to really get a planet like that started from a frozen ball of meteor rather than the Earth, which has its own vegetation, its own crops, its own animals, its own atmosphere, really. So the idea behind this one is RimWorld. You're on a ship. For some reason, it's being torn apart. You and your two other crew members, so 3 members total, have just enough time to get in escape pods and get out of the ship. Those escape pods are jettisoned on a local planet, or a RimWorld in this case, it's got nothing on it. It has its own natural life and vegetation and water and that sort of thing, but there's no civilizations here. We kind of have to start from scratch. We'll be working on getting food working, a sort of a farming system. We'll need to build power to make sure that we can electrify the things we need, like lights and basic necessities. We need to build bedrooms and research stations and defenses in case there's anyone that comes to attack us, or any animals of the local planet go crazy, that sort of a thing. So I wanted to take a few minutes, like I said, I wanted to explain this one. This one I've been really happy with. There's been new stuff added regularly, and I'm just going to take you really quick through the introduction of it, and then I'll show you some gameplay, and we'll call it a video. So right off the bat, we're just going to go ahead and start a new colony. The way the difficulty is broken down here, it's not just easy, medium, hard, that sort of a thing. This is broken down into storytellers. Just really quick, Cassandra creates a story on events steadily increasing curve of challenge. Phoebe, lots of time between disasters to relax and build, but if she's set on a high challenge scale, she'll hit as hard as anyone. And then Randy, random, doesn't even follow the rules, generate random events. This is kind of a nice way to say to a new casual player, this is how this storyteller, quote-unquote, operates. I kind of find that easy, medium, hard, difficult, impossible, whatever difficulty gets kind of arbitrary as the gaming community has matured, because when it really comes down to it, it all depends on your playstyle. I might be a really good RTS player, but I'm a terrible first-person shooter player, that kind of a thing, so I might just arbitrarily say hard, I'm good at video games, let's do it. This kind of breaks it down a little bit easier for you, so that way you can see what kind of things you're going to be expecting. And actually explains it right here kind of nicely. Creates events like pirate raids, resource drops, animal attacks. Choices will affect the story of your colony. So let's just go with Cassandra and let's just take it rough. I could have said that better, but that's okay. Let's see. Let's get rid of one of these. I only need one planet. Let's see here. I kind of want to be a little mountainous. I'd like a lot of cover. Yeah, with the newest version here, what we're able to do is we're actually able to choose our crash site. Before it was just absolutely random, and it just generated the area for you, which isn't bad, but let's see. Temperate forest, mountains, I like that. Let's start with that. Select site. Now, the neat thing is on top of this, you get to choose your 3 characters. It's pretty random. I don't think you can adjust skills, but this actually gives you a backstory for each of the characters, what they're incapable of, what their traits are, what they're good at, what they're passionate about. These are things that will really etch your well, they'll really change the probability of you being able to succeed out in the wild. For example, we have a coma child from a backstory who became a teacher. That might be really cool, and she's a great social worker, but I need someone that can do good cooking and growing and construction and that sort of a thing. This might be an issue. So depending on how you have the strengths and weaknesses of these characters, it's important how you'll survive later on. So let's randomize someone a little more even. Heavy on research. Oof. Yeah, that one. Okay, this is a good across the board. I'm not too sad about that. Crafting, melee, construction, very good. Considering you're going to start the game just coming out of a spaceship, you're going to need some really basic rudimentary skills first. Research is going to be something mid to late game. We're not too worried about that right now, but it's going to be, can we build a shelter? Can we make sure that we can defend it? Can we grow crops? Like, when you really think about it, if you're stuck in the wild yourself, really kind of work your mind on what are the first things you think about. You know, shelter, food, water, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Or any needs, really. I mean, you start to think, what's the first thing you're going to run out of? Anyhow, we're going to go ahead and get started with these three on the map, and we'll get a bit of a story. Three of you awake in your cryo-sleep sarcophagi. It has the sound of sirens and ripping metal. You barely get to the escape pods before the ship is torn apart. Sometime later, you land in this unknown rim world. As pieces of shredded starship fall around you, you start making plans to survive. Okay. I'm not going to go through every single mechanical detail. We're going to pause, we're going to see what we have for natural area here, then I'm going to show you some screenshots of gameplay. So let's see. We have a lot of good cover. This is why I wanted to do mountains. This acts as a natural wall for us to build our base into. That really reduces the amount of area we're exposed. So you have to really think tactically. I mean, if your spaceship is falling apart, you probably don't have the opportunity to think tactfully. Let's see what we could do is we could just dig right in here and then cut into this side of the mountain. So the terrain is workable. You can mine into walls and stuff, and then you can build walls your own later on. Let's see here. Thinking. Now, this plays a lot like Sims, and that's kind of a really weird way to say it, but people have attitudes, people have needs, and people have desires. So as you're playing and you're trying to build up an excellent defense, you have to make sure that people are well nourished. People are sleeping when they should be sleeping, and people are having a good social activity with each other. The problem is if you don't, people can go insane, and when they go insane, they start shooting your own teammates. If you've ever played XCOM, that's kind of exactly how it goes. If your XCOM soldiers become crazed, or crazy, or insane, or whatever the terminology was, it was panicked. If they become panicked, they drop their weapon and run away. If they become insane, then they start shooting at your own teammates, and that's not great. That's not great. So as I mentioned, this game has been in development and new stuff has been added very regularly. I've been very happy with it, and I just really wanted to show this game off to you guys. Now, since it's still in development, I really don't want to go ahead and show you all the really core mechanics of the game. I don't want to show you really anything, because those kinds of things are subject to change. If I spent a bunch of the video and said, oh, this one thing about this game is really cool, and it changes, you know, I want to make sure that you guys enjoy it. And this is a game that's really drawn me into it. There's a good amount of micromanagement, a lot of things for me to worry about, keeps me engaged, but it really reminds me of a lot of really good games I've played. As you can see right now, we're digging through walls, we're setting up beds, allocating places to dump off resources, and as you're going to see through, I'm going to take a couple of shots here, and you're going to see a bunch of compressed down things. I'm not too sure how much I have this compressed, maybe like 10 times or so. But we're going ahead setting up home zones, that sort of a thing. These are places where people regard as HQ. Now this is a jump ahead. We've got living quarters in the left, we've got food and batteries in the center for storing power, and it looks like working on some defense as well. So as the game really goes through, as I mentioned, there's a lot of depth to it. There's not only the personality of the people you have to worry about, there's also clans that you need to deal with that'll either come to your base and attack you or provide services, that sort of a thing. And then there's also nature. You've got to deal with seasons, you've got to deal with weather, animals can have their own attitudes as well, and we've got to make sure that the colony survives. Doing that by, as you can see here, I'm setting up ancillary solar power, making sure we've got more sources of electricity to go around. everyone can do a specific task as well. Now that we're going through, you can see that certain people are good at certain things. Farmers, you have crafters, you have people who are doctors, people who are prison wardens. Trading is also a big thing about this game, is all the local resources you're harvesting. Traders can come and pass through from different worlds and can offer you supplies, services, goods, products, even people. There's even slave traders, which adds to a bit of an odd flavor to the game, but it really adds to the idea that if you're all alone on a desert planet or a lush planet like we're on here and it's really a RimWorld, there's not a whole lot. You can't go to the next door and hire some help. You can't really go through the normal logistics process of getting someone to help. So, I mean, depending on how you play the game, this all can take various forms. And as you can see, we're going through cleaning up after an attack, making sure that the base is all clean and all good. And then this next part coming up is going to be the last bit of a set I want to show you, and then I'm just going to let you watch, and then I'll sign off, and I think that'll be that. Well, as you can see, my base is in full operation, cleaning up from another attack, collecting the goods that are left by to sell to market, and all the things we can do to stay alive. So, thanks again for watching, guys. I really hope you check out RimWorld. This is one title that I've really enjoyed. I wanted to at least share it with you so you guys can hopefully get as excited about this one as I have, and I hope to catch you guys next time.